A recent Wall Street Journal analysis found that the coalition that carried President Trump to victory is unraveling. Polls show that groups that turned to Trump in 2024, including young and non-white voters, are now souring on his handling of the economy. Here's what lawmakers from both parties said today about Trump's responsibility. There's no question that Donald Trump has added more to the deficit than any president in the history of the country. And he's on track to do it a second time. It's going to collapse the economy. And listen, it's not going to affect his billionaire friends. His Mar-a-Lago crowd is going to be fine. We've gotten rich on trade, all Americans, and it's lifting everyone up, and we're richer than we've ever been in our history. But it's not easy to convince people of that, because there are short-term problems when you have inflation like the last 4 years, when a middle class is really losing purchasing power and getting poorer. So Shaniqua, the Wall Street Journal found that Trump's approval rating has fallen across all demographic groups, even among his most ardent supporters, and after he made gains among black voters, Hispanic voters, young people in the November election. Do you think that's primarily due to Trump's lower scores on the economy? And is he going to reverse that anytime soon when his tariffs come into effect? Yeah, I think that's because I wouldn't call it a job. I don't know the devastation that he's done to the economy. A lot of people who voted for Donald Trump, especially some of the new people that we're seeing voting for Donald Trump are not happy. They're not getting better. He said on day one that he was going to fix the economy. And on top of that, we've got 3.5 years left for people to absorb that, and they're not going to see things get better. So I think people are going to continue to be disappointed. But I think the real problem isn't Donald Trump. It's the Republicans in the House and the Senate who are up for re-election in 2026 and 2028. And Donald Trump had a certain amount of appeal to these voters to get them to the polls, and he's not going to be on the ballot anymore. So I think they're going to have to bear a lot of the burden, but they also don't have the appeal to get them out. The analysis shows that white men without a 4-year college degree, they're the only group that still strongly supports Trump. Is there a time for Trump to change that initial impression? And it's usually, how do voters feel about his presidency? Does a Republican candidate in 2028 even have a chance of winning? In Shaniqua's view, without the coalition that Trump has assembled, without those Trump voters, it will be very difficult for Republicans in swing districts and swing states to hold onto their seats. Now, the interesting part of all of this is that a lot of the problems that Donald Trump has had, why some of these people who were in his coalition are now frustrated. These are self-inflicted wounds. And Senator Paul pointed that out in the statement that he just ran. This tariff experiment, number one, it means that Donald Trump is taking complete ownership of the economy, an economy that he criticized just a few months ago as a candidate. And number two, the tariff experiment has been destabilizing and it has created a lot of instability in the economy. Now, he could fix this. He could reverse all of this, but it seems like he doesn't want to do that because the Trump administration is investigating former FBI Director James Comey for his social media post about seashells on the beach forming the number 8647. 86 could mean eliminating 47, of course, our 47th president. Administration officials have accused Comey of calling for Trump to be assassinated and saying he should be jailed. Tell me what you think and whether you think this is another example of Trump's vendetta. Absolutely. The funny thing is there have been so many times in the past where James Comey could have been helpful. And now he's, posting these cryptic posts. I don't think he meant to assassinate the president. This is a former FBI director who I think would take that seriously. But I think he also really takes seriously all the corruption that's going on in the White House right now. And he says that we need to remove Donald Trump, maybe through impeachment, not assassination. But I think we're seeing what Donald Trump does all the time. If you don't stand up to him, or if you don't allow him to do what we see a lot of Republicans in Congress do, he's going to come after you. And so I think that's really the issue. Carlos, do you believe that Comey intended to post this picture? And regardless, isn't it his First Amendment right to speak out, to protest the president? Is the administration trying to criminalize free speech? I think James Comey is a guy who really enjoys the spotlight. And that's what got him in trouble in the first place when he did holding that unprecedented press conference about the Hillary Clinton case. He's a guy who likes to be in the press, get attention on social media, and it seems like he's gone too far here. Do I think he should be jailed or charged? No, but should he be questioned like any other American who makes comments that imply hurting a public official or assaulting a public official? Sure, he should be questioned, and he should have due process, and he should have a right to an attorney and all that. But at the end of the day, James Comey's thirst for attention is what got him in trouble, and I don't think that's doing anything for the public discourse in our country. Oh, Hillary Clinton's press conference in 2016. What was that, like 10 days before the election? Anyway, just to get you Shaniqua real quick, this week Walmart announced it would soon raise prices due to Trump's tariffs. The president responded that Walmart made billions of dollars last year and should cite the tariffs. Walmart said 90% of American households rely on it for a variety of products. So, big picture, is this a fight that Trump can win in the eyes of the public? Absolutely not. Well, I grew up in a low-income family, and we would go shopping and buy a lot of things from Walmart, and I can't imagine what would happen to our family if prices went up. And I know what my mom would think if prices went up because the president just decided it was a good idea. Walmart has said that they're going to absorb some of these tariffs for a while, but I don't think that's going to last. They're a private company with shareholders, and they're accountable to their shareholders. And at the end of the day, their job is to make money, and they're not going to be able to do that if they're taking on his responsibility for making bad decisions. So the final word for you, Walmart versus Trump. For all my Republican friends who have been critical of socialism, including myself for a very long time, a president of the United States dictating to a company what kind of prices they should charge, how much money they should make, how much profit they should pay out to their shareholders. There's no place for that in America, and I know what my mother would think if prices went up because the president just decided it was a good idea. Walmart has said they're going to absorb some of these tariffs for a while, but I don't think that's going to last. They're a private company with shareholders, and they're accountable to their shareholders. And at the end of the day, their job is to make money, and they're not going to be able to do that if they're taking on his responsibility for making bad decisions. For all my Republican friends who have been critical of socialism, including myself for a very long time, an American president telling a company what kind of prices they should charge, how much money they should make, how much profit they should pay out to their shareholders.